What's up, Stinger Shredders? I'm Quackers Co., and this is the Fish Fry for November 3rd, being held at Fission Hydro Plant. Our cookware composition are the Gloogas, the Clash Blaster, the Mini Splatlin, and the E-Liter 4K. The gameplay on Fission sports a more unique way of playing than the other two maps that we have right now. Since the map is so small, we can't actually linger sometimes in order to take out some lessers or some bosses. But as long as we keep moving between the platforms, we can find out what bosses are spawning where. And with having the E-Liter 4K and how far we can throw bombs, there's not too much of a reason to go down there to the shoreline. So if you do go down there, make sure you find your way back up the quickest way possible, because damage is needed on every side of the map since everything can get to you so fast. Especially in a high tide, it's always helpful to see what's spawning in those corridors. And be careful about that little ramp on the side. It's like a little mini death pit whenever you're trying to collect eggs from it. We just gotta remember that we should be always spending our time doing something useful. If we're not gathering our ink, then we should be painting something or causing damage to something. And this map is so short that everything is always so close, it's easy to cause that damage. Things change up once we're here on a low tide. When we have a lot of damage output from our weapon composition, we still need to remember to lure really easy kill bosses over to the basket. Our boss killing weapons like the Mini Splatlin and the E-Liter 4K can sit closer to the basket, while the higher mobility weapons can push those sides and take out those bosses. All low tides have a lot of flat ground, so we always need to make sure we take out fly fish and big shots. And the only way that we'll be able to do that are by using these side platforms. So do your best to get in, cause that damage, and then get out. There's no reason to linger in there, because just like the shoreline on a regular tide, 50% of almost everything is now chasing you. And for Fission, more than ever, you need to take out steel ills before they get to that center lane. Once they get to that center lane, they create a shield that will block your damage. So whenever you see one, try to do your best to lure it to a better area, that way you can get an easy splat. So move around creatively and get those splats. And to go into detail about why you shouldn't camp big shot cannons. I already said it before, but once you're on the shoreline, about 50% of all the enemies are now targeting you. And let's say you have 3 of your teammates down there at the cannon. That means 3/4 of all the bosses that you want to lure are now going to that cannon, which will cause a snowball and cause you to be overran very quickly. So always do your best to launch just a few eggs, and then carry that last one up there to the basket, so that way you can start basketing all the ones you launched. And getting it clear and that little bit of celebration at the end of the match is one of the most fun things. And I've seen some players with the same mindset as me. It's becoming annoying to see specials being released at the end of a match. So do your best to use your specials in cool, creative ways to just cause massive damage to a really annoying enemy. When using the inkjet, if you use the fish stick trick of aiming on the right side of their circle, you can take out the fish stick in just a couple shots. And also you can fire eggs in the big shot cannon while using the inkjet. With the E-Liter being in this rotation, as long as everybody is doing a good job of painting and moving around the map, that E-Liter can cause their massive damage, and it should be pretty easy to get a good control over Fission. Alright, let's get into the cookware. Our first cooking utensil are the Gloogas. The Gloogas have a pretty good balance of damage to range, but with that little bit of slow fire rate, always play a little bit of defensively, and get yourself some kind of coverage when you want to take out bosses. But with the weapon composition like this, it'll be better if you try to keep coverage on the walls and the ground, and focus on lessers. Our second cooking utensil is the Clash Blaster. The Clash Blaster has better wall paintability than the Gloogas, so it might be better to focus a little bit more on walls with this weapon if you want to paint. And with the blast that it causes, it'll be really handy for taking out lessers. But there are some bosses that the Clash Blaster is really useful against, like stingers or fish sticks. Our third cooking utensil is the mini Splatlin. Once you get this weapon down, it has some incredible coverage on walls and turf, which will be really helpful for getting around because you'll need to make sure that you spend your time trying to focus more on bosses instead of lessers. But that doesn't mean you should ignore lessers entirely. Since movement can be a little slow with Splatlings, always take that time in between movement to just cause some damage or to get some paint on something. So definitely try to bounce around what you're causing damage to with the mini Splatling. A full charge can take out a Quahawk, and it can take out all of the pots of a Stinger. The only boss that you might have a little bit of an issue with are fish sticks. If you're firing from the ground, you might get a little bit of tunnel vision and miss something sneaking up on you. If you climb up on the stick and fire while moving your aim in the opposite direction that they're spinning, you can take them out really quickly. Our last cooking utensil is the E-Liter 4K. The E-Liter 4K definitely has the most awkward painting on walls, so hopefully your teammates are taking care of that because its turf coverage works pretty well. And you want that turf covered, that way you have enough space to completely charge up your shot. The E-Liter always works best playing defensively and trying to project where your enemies are going to be and where you need to put that damage. Almost every boss can be taken out with one shot, with only a few bosses needing to take more than one. And the E-Liter's range can reach any spot on a regular tide. So try to make sure that you're never going down to the shoreline, and if you are going down there to grab some eggs, make sure to just grab one, toss it, and then grab another and get your way back up. I promise you another boss is spawned, and you can probably take it out before it's become a nuisance to anybody. And remember to use quarter charge shots for taking out stinger pots. It keeps you from just frantically pulling that trigger. If you're on an extra wave, as long as the Gloogas and the Clash Blaster can focus on lessers and bosses, then the E-Liter and the mini Splatling can focus all their damage on the Kohozuna. But just like always, as long as everybody provides some form of damage to the Kohozuna, as well as using that egg blast, you should be able to take them out pretty easily. And remember that the fish fry comes out before the stage rotation. So if you want to catch these updates when they're hot and fresh, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. And if you want other Grizzco employees to receive these tips, make sure you like and share the video. Bye-bye.